I should have known that nothing about that night would be ordinary. The moment I said yes to the meeting, something deep inside me stirred, a mix of excitement, fear, and a gnawing curiosity that wouldn't let me rest. The text message had been short, almost cryptic: "Meet me at the hotel tonight. Room 304. Don't tell anyone." I read it over and over, my heart hammering. I wasn't sure if I was walking into a trap, a reunion, or a revelation that might split my life in two. But against my better judgment, I went. When I stepped out of the cab, the city felt eerily alive. Neon signs buzzed in the misty evening air, the hotel's red glow casting long shadows on the pavement. I hesitated at the entrance, staring at the revolving doors. I thought about turning back, pretending I never got that message. But something, maybe fate, maybe sheer recklessness, pushed me forward. Inside, the hotel lobby was quieter than I expected. A faint piano melody played from hidden speakers. Couples sat at round tables whispering over glasses of wine. I walked straight to the elevator, trying to keep my breathing steady. Floor 3. Room 304. That was the instruction. As the elevator doors closed, I stared at my reflection in the mirrored wall. My face looked different, older, maybe more desperate. I had told myself this was about answers, about closure. But as the floor numbers lit up one by one, I knew the truth: I wasn't just here for answers. I was here because I couldn't resist. When I reached room 304, the hallway was empty, carpet muffling my footsteps. The door was already ajar, a thin slice of light spilling into the corridor. My chest tightened. I pushed it open slowly. What I saw inside froze me. But before I tell you what waited in that room, let me ask you something. Have you ever followed a story that pulled you so deep you couldn't stop, even when you knew it might hurt you? That's what's about to happen here. And if you want more gripping stories like this, subscribe to Life's Secret Stories now, because what you're about to read is just the beginning. The room smelled faintly of cologne and something else, something metallic, like iron. The curtains were drawn tight, the lamp beside the bed casting a weak, yellow glow. And on the table in the corner, there was a letter with my name on it. I picked it up with trembling hands. The envelope was unsealed. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten in hurried strokes. If you're reading this, it means you chose to come. What happens tonight will change everything. Sit down. Wait. Don't leave. My knees weakened, and I dropped onto the edge of the bed. The sheets were rumpled, as though someone had been there moments before. My eyes darted around the room, searching for movement, for a shadow, for proof I wasn't alone. But it was empty. Or so I thought. The bathroom door creaked open, slow as a whisper. I shot to my feet, my pulse thundering. A figure stepped out, their face partially hidden by the dim light. For a moment I couldn't breathe. It was someone I knew. Someone I never expected to see here. "Close the door," they said quietly, their voice low, urgent. "We don't have much time." I obeyed, though every instinct screamed at me to run. When I turned back, they were watching me closely, eyes sharp with secrets. "You came," they said. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," I admitted, my voice cracking. "What is this? Why here? Why now?" Instead of answering, they reached into their jacket and pulled out a small, black notebook. It looked old, the cover worn, pages bulging with folded scraps of paper. They held it out to me like it was something dangerous. "This," they said, "is the truth. Everything you thought you knew, it's all in here." My hands shook as I took it. The leather was cold, the weight heavier than it looked. I flipped it open, scanning the first page. My breath caught. It was a name I recognized instantly. A name tied to my past, to memories I had buried deep. I looked up, trembling. "Where did you get this?" "They gave it to me," they said, eyes darting toward the window. "And now I'm giving it to you. Because you need to understand. Before it's too late." The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls pressing in. I turned the page, then another, each line of handwriting unraveling secrets I wasn't ready for. Family betrayals. Hidden debts. Lies that spanned years. With every word, the ground beneath me shifted. Finally, I slammed the book shut. Why me? Why now? They leaned closer, their voice barely above a whisper. Because tonight, at this hotel, everything changes. And you have a choice, walk away, or follow this through to the end. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I stared at the person in front of me, the notebook heavy in my lap, my chest rising and falling in uneven waves. It wasn't just what they said, it was the way they looked at me, like they knew every secret I had ever tried to hide. Why here? I whispered. Why in a hotel? They hesitated, then crossed the room, pulling the curtain back just enough to peer through the gap. Because it's the only place where no one is watching us. At least, I hope no one is. That answer didn't calm me. If anything, it sent a cold shiver down my spine. I clutched the notebook tighter. And what happens if I read everything? Their eyes locked on mine, hard, unflinching. Then you'll never see your life the same way again. But once you know, there's no going back. Do you understand? I nodded, though a part of me screamed not to. My curiosity was stronger than my fear. The notebook creaked as I opened it again, the first real entry dated 15 years ago. My eyes scanned the page, each sentence tightening the knot in my stomach. They promised me silence in exchange for loyalty. They promised to protect us if we kept our mouths shut. But promises rot when built on lies. And tonight, I think the lies are closing in. I looked up sharply. Who wrote this? They did, my companion said softly. The person you trusted most. The one who made sure you never saw the truth. The words hit me like a punch. I felt dizzy, struggling to breathe. My mind wanted to reject it, to push the idea away, but a small voice whispered that I had always suspected something wasn't right. I turned another page. More confessions. Hidden meetings. Money changing hands. A secret deal with consequences that rippled into the present moment. And my name appeared in the margins, scrawled like a warning. Why am I in this? My voice cracked under the weight of it. Because you were part of it, they said. Even if you didn't know it. I shook my head. No. I never. Not directly, they interrupted. But your life, your future, it was all shaped by what's in that book. Everything you thought was chance, every decision you thought you made, it wasn't just you. It was them, pulling the strings. The room blurred for a moment, my eyes burning with tears I didn't want to shed. So this whole time, my choices weren't mine? Not completely. They stepped closer, their voice softening. But you can take them back. That's why I asked you to come tonight. I looked at them, unsure if I should hate them for dragging me into this or thank them for revealing it. My mind battled itself, torn between fear and the hunger for truth. Suddenly, a knock rattled the door. Both of us froze. Room service, a muffled voice called. My companion's eyes widened. Did you order anything? I shook my head. My pulse skyrocketed. The knock came again, louder this time. Room service. They snatched the notebook from me, shoved it under the mattress, and motioned for me to stay quiet. Then, against my protests, they opened the door just a crack. A man stood there in a uniform, pushing a silver cart with a covered dish. But his smile was too sharp, his eyes too cold. He didn't look like a hotel employee. My companion forced a polite smile. We didn't order anything. The man leaned in slightly. Maybe not. But you should eat. Long night ahead. Before we could react, he shoved the cart forward, forcing the door wide open. The metal wheels clattered against the carpet as he stepped inside like he owned the place. What are you doing? I demanded, panic rising in my throat. The man's gaze slid to me, and for a moment, it felt like he could see straight through my skin. Just delivering a message, he said, his tone casual but threatening. Enjoy your evening. You'll need your strength. Then, just as quickly, he turned and walked out, leaving the cart in the middle of the room. The door clicked shut behind him. Silence hung heavy. I rushed to the cart and yanked the cover off the dish. Instead of food, there was an envelope. My name was written across it in the same hurried handwriting as the notebook. My companion whispered, "They know you're here." My hands trembled as I tore it open. Inside was a single photograph, grainy, black and white. It was of me, standing outside my apartment, taken from a distance. My stomach dropped. The note underneath it read, "You can't run from what you are. The hotel is only the beginning." I looked at my companion, terror flooding my veins. "What does this mean?" "It means," they said grimly, "we're not alone in this. And whoever's pulling the strings, they've already started their game." I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the words stuck in my throat. My mind was spinning too fast. "Listen," they said, grabbing my shoulders. "You need to decide now. Do you walk out of this room and pretend none of this happened? Or do you stay and fight to uncover the truth, no matter what it costs?" The photograph burned in my hand, the eyes in the picture haunting me. I thought about my life, about all the questions I had ignored for years, about the gnawing sense that something was always just out of place. And I realized I couldn't walk away. "I'll stay," I whispered. They nodded once, relief flashing in their eyes. "Good. Because the night is only beginning." If this story has you hooked, don't forget to subscribe to Life's Secret Stories. Every week, we dive into tales that twist, surprise, and linger long after the last word. Don't miss what happens next. The hours blurred after that. We sat in the dim glow of the lamp, notebook spread open again, piecing together fragments of a puzzle too big for either of us to fully grasp. Every page revealed another layer, names of people I thought I knew, places tied to my childhood, even events that I remembered differently, now distorted through the lens of truth. At one point, my companion leaned back, rubbing their temples. "They planned this years ago. Every step, every move, it was all designed to bring us here tonight." "Why us?" I asked, my voice raw. "Because we're the last ones left," they said quietly. A chill ran down my spine. The last ones left. What had happened to the others? Before I could press further, the phone in the room rang, its shrill tones slicing through the silence. We both jumped. My companion answered cautiously. A distorted voice crackled through the receiver. "Check under the bed." The line went dead. My blood froze. We exchanged a look, then together, we crouched down and lifted the bed skirt. There was a box. Small, wooden, locked with a brass clasp. My companion pulled it out carefully, setting it on the bed between us. "Do we open it?" I asked, my voice trembling. "We don't have a choice." They pried the clasp open with trembling hands. Inside was another stack of photographs, dozens of them, each one of me. At school. At work. Walking alone at night. Some from years ago, some recent. I couldn't breathe. They've been watching me. All this time. "Yes," my companion said grimly. "And now they've made sure you know it." I slammed the box shut, my heart racing. "Why? What do they want from me?" Their eyes were dark with fear. "They want you to remember." "Remember what?" I demanded. Before they could answer, the lights in the room flickered, then went out, plunging us into darkness. And that's when we both heard it. A knock. Slow, deliberate. Not at the door, at the window. 3 stories up. For a few seconds neither of us moved. The knock came again, 3 slow taps against the glass. The curtains trembled slightly as though a breeze had crept in from outside, but the window was shut tight. "This is impossible," I whispered. "We're 3 stories up." My companion gestured for me to stay back, then edged toward the window. "Who's there?" they called, their voice steadier than mine. No answer. Only silence. The knock came a 3rd time, louder now. My heart pounded against my ribs. I wanted to run to the door, but my legs felt cemented to the carpet. They reached the curtains and, with a sharp tug, yanked them open. Nothing. The city lights glittered below, car headlights crawling along the streets like fireflies. The glass reflected our faces back at us, pale, wide-eyed, frightened. But outside the window there was no ledge, no balcony, no sign of a person. "Maybe it was the wind," I said weakly, though I didn't believe it. They shook their head. It wasn't the wind. They slid the window lock open and pushed it up. Cold night air rushed in, carrying the smell of rain and something faintly metallic, like the scent I'd noticed when I first entered the room. They leaned out, scanning the building's exterior. Nothing, they muttered, pulling back inside. But someone wanted us to look. They closed the window again and drew the curtains tight. We don't have much time. I clutched the notebook to my chest. What does that mean? Who are these people? What do they want from us? They want the truth hidden, they said. And they're willing to scare you out of digging. I sank onto the bed, my mind spinning. You keep saying they. Who are they? They sat down beside me, lowering their voice. A group your family worked with a long time ago. Deals were made, promises traded. It wasn't supposed to touch you, but it did. And now you're a loose end. I stared at them. And you? I was like you once, they said. Pulled in without knowing. But I got out. Or at least, I thought I did. I opened the notebook again. Then why call me here? Why now? They hesitated. Because tonight's the last night we can act. They're moving everything tomorrow. If you want to know what really happened, if you want to break free, you need to decide tonight. Before I could respond, the hotel phone rang again. The shrill sound cut through the room like a knife. Don't answer it, I whispered. But they were already reaching for the receiver. We have to. They pressed it to their ear. Hello? Static crackled on the other end. Then a voice, distorted and cold, room 304. Time's up. The line went dead. My companion's face drained of color. We have to move. Move where? I demanded. There's a back stairwell. If we can reach it before they... A heavy thud outside the door interrupted them. Another. Someone was walking down the hallway, slow and deliberate, stopping at our door. The doorknob rattled. They're here, I whispered. They grabbed my hand and yanked me toward the bathroom. We're going out the window. We're 3 stories up. Better than staying here. They shoved the window open again, leaning out. There's a fire escape just below. We can make it. My heart hammered as I climbed onto the sill. Rain slicked the metal below, but adrenaline gave me balance. They dropped down first, landing on the grated platform with a clang. I followed, my shoes slipping as I grabbed the railing for support. Below us, the alley was dark, empty except for a dumpster and a flickering street lamp. The hotel's back entrance loomed like a shadow. Hurry, they hissed. We descended the fire escape, each step echoing too loudly. When we reached the second platform, a window above slammed open. A man's silhouette leaned out, watching us. Stop, he barked. We didn't. We jumped the last few feet to the ground and sprinted toward the street. Rain hit my face, cold and sharp. My lungs burned as we ran. I didn't look back until we rounded the corner. A black SUV idled at the curb, engine humming. My companion yanked open the door. Get in! Whose car is this? I gasped. A friend's. Just get in. I slid into the back seat. They jumped in after me, slamming the door shut. The driver, a wiry woman with a baseball cap pulled low over her face, pulled away from the curb without a word. My companion finally let go of my hand. We're safe for now. I pressed my palms to my face, trying to calm my breathing. What is happening? Who are these people? They're cleaners, the driver said without turning her head. Her voice was low, steady. They make sure certain stories never see daylight. You're the story they're trying to erase. I stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. And you? Let's just say I don't like cleaners. She turned sharply down a side street, tires splashing through puddles. We don't have much time. If you want the truth, you'll get it tonight. After that, you're on your own. I clutched the notebook tighter. Where are we going? To someone who can tell you everything, my companion said. The person who started this. The city blurred past outside the window, neon signs, shuttered shops, rain-slick pavement glowing under streetlights. My heart pounded with each turn. Finally, the car slowed in front of a nondescript building. No sign, no lights. Just a steel door with a keypad. The driver killed the engine. You have 10 minutes. After that, we're gone. My companion opened the door. Come on. I followed them into the rain, my nerves stretched thin. They punched a code into the keypad. The door buzzed, then opened. Inside, the air was warm, smelling faintly of coffee and old books. We walked down a narrow hallway lined with file cabinets. At the end was a small room with a single desk lamp glowing. Behind the desk sat an older man, his face half in shadow. He looked up as we entered, his eyes sharp despite the years etched into his features. You brought them, he said. Yes, my companion replied. It's time. The man gestured to a chair. Sit. I sat slowly, the notebook still in my hands. You're the one who wrote this? He smiled faintly. Some of it. Not all. Then tell me, I demanded. What is this? Why me? He leaned forward, folding his hands. Because everything you've lived until now was built on a lie. And tonight, you're going to learn who you really are. The room felt smaller. The rain against the windows louder. Start from the beginning, I said. He nodded once. Then listen carefully. Your parents weren't who you thought they were. They were part of an operation that... A loud crash cut him off. Somewhere down the hallway, the steel door burst open. Voices shouted. Footsteps pounded closer. The old man's eyes hardened. Too late. He grabbed a small flash drive from the desk and pressed it into my palm. This has everything. Names, dates, proof. Take it and run. I don't understand. No time, he barked. Out the back. My companion yanked me to my feet. We bolted through a side door into a narrow corridor. The driver was already there, waiting. This way, she hissed. We burst into an alley just as black-clad figures poured into the building behind us. Gunmetal glinted in their hands. This isn't just about secrets, my companion panted as we ran. It's about survival now. I clutched the flash drive like a lifeline. My entire world had tilted in a single night, and there was no going back. We reached the car and dove inside. The driver floored it, tires screeching on wet pavement. In the rearview mirror, dark shapes spilled out of the building, but we were already gone. Rain streaked across the windows. My companion turned to me, eyes fierce. Whatever you do, don't lose that drive. It's your life now. I stared down at it, the small piece of metal heavier than any weight I'd ever carried. What's on it? I whispered. The truth, they said. And the key to ending this. I closed my eyes, the roar of the engine filling my ears. The hotel felt like another lifetime already, but deep down I knew this night wasn't over. It was only the beginning. If this story has you gripping your seat, subscribe to Life's Secret Stories so you never miss what happens next. Our stories pull you in, twist your expectations, and leave you thinking long after the last word. The car tore through the city streets, engine growling as if it sensed our desperation. The rain had softened to a drizzle now, but the road still gleamed like dark mirrors. I stared at the flash drive in my palm, its cold edges biting into my skin. It looked so small, so fragile, yet I knew it held answers people were willing to kill for. The driver's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. We bought ourselves 5 minutes at most. My companion leaned closer to me. We need to open the drive. We can't just run blind. Where? I asked. There's a place. The driver made a sharp left, tires squealing. An old safe house. Still has equipment. If they haven't found it yet. The streets blurred past, shuttered storefronts, empty bus stops, neon lights buzzing in the rain. Every shadow felt alive, every car behind us a threat. Finally, the driver pulled into a narrow alley and killed the headlights. Ahead was a garage door, rusted and scarred with graffiti. She jumped out, sprinted to a keypad hidden beneath a loose brick, and punched in a code. With a groan, the door rattled upward, revealing darkness inside. Go, she barked. We scrambled out of the car and slipped inside. The garage door slammed shut behind us. The space was bare except for a dusty workbench and a humming generator in the corner. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. My companion moved quickly, brushing debris from the bench and setting down a battered laptop. "Give me the drive." My hand tightened around it. "How do we even know we can trust what's on here? Or trust you?" They looked me dead in the eye. "You came this far. Trust is all that's left." Reluctantly, I handed it over. They slid it into the laptop's port. The screen flickered to life, casting pale light across their face. For a moment, nothing happened. Then folders appeared, dozens of them, labeled with dates and cryptic codes. My companion opened one. Inside were scans of documents, photographs, bank transfers. Another folder revealed surveillance images, grainy shots of people meeting in hotels, handing off envelopes, faces half hidden in shadows. The driver leaned over their shoulder. "It's worse than I thought." I pointed at one of the images. My chest tightened. "That's my father." He was younger in the photo, standing in a hotel lobby with a man in a gray suit. They were shaking hands. My father's expression was grim, almost desperate. Another file showed my mother, her face caught mid-sentence, sitting across a table from the same suited man. Papers lay between them, stamped with a red insignia I didn't recognize. "What is this?" I whispered. "It's leverage," my companion said. "Your parents were tied to them. They tried to pull out, but you don't leave people like this. Not alive." My stomach churned. "So what happened to them?" "The accident." The driver cut in, her voice sharp. "It wasn't an accident." The words hit me like a blow. I stumbled back, my knees weak. All these years I had lived with the image of twisted metal and flashing sirens, the belief that fate had stolen them. But now it was something else. Something human. "They silenced them," my companion said quietly. "And they'll silence you too, unless we use this." The laptop screen shifted again. A hidden folder had opened, revealing a single video file. The driver clicked it. The screen showed a dimly lit room. A man sat at a table, his face in shadow. His voice was distorted, but the words were clear. "They're planning to consolidate everything. Tomorrow night. If this gets out, it destroys them. If it doesn't, they own everything." The man leaned forward slightly, and for a split second his face caught the light. Recognition stabbed through me like ice. It was the same suited man from the photographs. The one who had met my parents. The video ended abruptly. Silence filled the garage, heavy and suffocating. My companion shut the laptop. "Now you understand. This isn't just about your family. This is about control, politics, money, entire industries. They've been pulling strings for decades." I sat down hard on an old crate, my mind reeling. My life, my memories, my grief, it had all been a smokescreen for something bigger. Something monstrous. The driver broke the silence. "We can leak this. I have contacts. But once it's out, there's no going back. You'll be hunted." I looked at the flash drive, its tiny light blinking like a heartbeat. If I run, they'll still come for me. If I fight, at least I choose how it ends. My companion nodded. "Then we move tonight." Before we could plan further, the generator flickered. The lights dimmed, then died. The garage plunged into darkness. "Power cut," the driver hissed. "They found us." A low rumble echoed outside, engines. Doors slamming. Footsteps crunching on wet asphalt. "They're surrounding the place," my companion whispered. My pulse raced. "What do we do?" The driver drew a pistol from under her jacket. "We buy time." The pounding on the garage door began, fists, boots, metal tools. The sound reverberated through my bones. "Back exit," my companion urged. They grabbed my arm and pulled me toward a side door hidden behind a stack of crates. We slipped through into a narrow stairwell, climbing blindly in the dark. Above, a trapdoor led to the roof. My companion shoved it open, rain splattering our faces as we emerged into the night. The city stretched around us, lights glimmering through mist. But the streets below were crawling with black SUVs and armed figures spilling into the alley. "We're trapped," I whispered. "Not yet," they said, scanning the rooftops. A narrow plank bridged the gap to the neighboring building. Slick with rain, swaying slightly in the wind. "You've got to be kidding me," I said. "It's the only way." They went first, moving low and fast across the plank. The driver followed, pistol raised, eyes scanning the streets below. I stepped onto the plank, my breath shallow. The drop yawned below me, 3 stories to hard concrete. Each step felt like it might be my last. Halfway across, a gunshot cracked the air. The plank shuddered. I froze. "Keep moving," my companion shouted. I forced my legs forward, every muscle trembling, until I stumbled onto the other roof. The driver pulled me down behind a vent as another shot rang out, sparking against the metal. "We can't keep running like this," I panted. "We won't," the driver said. "We strike back." She pulled a phone from her pocket, dialed quickly, and spoke into it in rapid, clipped tones. "It's time. Drop Site 2. Now." When she hung up, she looked at us both. "We have one shot to end this. That flash drive has to reach the right hands before dawn." "And if it doesn't?" I asked. Her expression was grim. "Then none of us live to see tomorrow." This story just keeps twisting, and the truth is getting darker. Don't miss what happens when the flash drive becomes the only weapon left. Subscribe now to Life Secret Stories and turn on notifications because the next chapter will leave you speechless. Rain pelted harder against the rooftops, drumming like restless fingers. The city stretched out in broken grids of light and shadow, but down below, the cleaners moved like a single dark tide, closing in from all directions. The driver crouched low, scanning the street. "We don't have long. My contact will be at the drop site, but we need to move fast and quiet. One mistake and we're boxed in." I clutched the flash drive tighter. "What if they already know where we're going?" "They do," she said flatly. "They always know. But what they don't expect is how we'll get there." She pointed to a maze of rooftops stretching toward the river. "We stay above ground. No streets, no alleys. We run the roofs until we reach the safe channel. From there, it's boats." My heart dropped. Boats. Rooftops. Guns chasing us. Every step was madness. But there was no other choice. We moved quickly, darting across slick tar and gravel. The plank bridges gave way to narrow ledges, rusted ladders, the skeleton of a forgotten city above the city. Each leap stole my breath, each rooftop another heartbeat stolen from the people hunting us. Halfway across, voices rose below, commands barked, radios crackling. A spotlight suddenly cut across the roof, white and blinding. "Down," my companion hissed, pulling me flat against the surface. The beam swept past, grazing us before swinging away. For a few precious seconds, my pulse refused to slow. "We can't keep this up," I whispered. "We just need 10 more minutes," the driver said. 10 minutes and it's over. But 10 minutes stretched like eternity. We crossed a narrow beam to another roof when the sound of rotors cut through the night. A helicopter rose above the skyline, searchlight lancing through the mist. "They brought air support," my companion cursed. The driver raised her pistol but lowered it just as quickly. "Bullets won't stop that. Keep moving." The searchlight locked onto us. My shadow stretched across the roof, monstrous and trembling. Gunfire erupted, bullets sparking against metal. I screamed and ducked, the flash drive nearly slipping from my grip. "Run," the driver shouted. We bolted toward a rusted stairwell that led down the side of the building. The metal groaned under our weight, each step threatening to snap. The helicopter circled overhead, its downdraft whipping the rain into stinging sheets. We hit the ground running, plunging into a narrow alley. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but fear drove me forward. At the end of the alley, the driver skidded to a halt and raised a hand. "Wait." We crouched in the shadows as a convoy of black SUVs rolled past, headlights glaring, engines growling. Their windows were tinted, but I could feel the eyes watching. Waiting. When they turned the corner, the driver whispered, "Now." We slipped up the opposite end of the alley and into a maze of backstreets. The city's hum grew louder as we neared the river, the distant horns of cargo ships, the hiss of water against concrete banks. Finally, the driver slowed, signaling us to crouch behind a dumpster. She pulled out her phone and dialed again. "It's us," she murmured. "We're 2 minutes out. Are you in position?" A pause. Then she nodded. "Good. Be ready." She hung up and looked at me. "This is it. The drop site is on the pier ahead. Once the drive is out of your hands, you disappear. New name, new life. Otherwise, this doesn't end." My throat tightened. "And you?" The driver's eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Some of us don't get new lives. Some of us just buy time for others." We moved again, hugging the shadows until the river finally came into view. The pier stretched into the dark water, a skeletal shape against the mist. At the far end, a single figure waited beneath a hanging lamp. "That's the contact," the driver said. "Go." We hurried down the pier, footsteps echoing on the wet wood. The figure stepped forward, a tall woman in a long coat, her face hidden by the brim of a hat. "You have it?" she asked. I nodded, holding out the flash drive. My hand trembled. "Take it. Please." She reached for it then froze. Her eyes darted past us. Her jaw tightened. Too late. Engines roared behind us. Floodlights snapped on, bathing the pier in blinding white. SUVs skidded to a stop, doors slamming open. Dark figures poured out, guns raised. The cleaners had caught us. The driver shoved me behind a stack of crates. "Stay down!" Gunfire erupted, deafening, splinters flying as bullets ripped through wood. The driver fired back, sharp bursts sliding the night. The contact drew her own weapon, returning fire with terrifying precision. My companion yanked me lower, shielding me with their body. "Don't let go of the drive." "I can't," I choked. "They'll kill us all." "Then give it to her." I looked up. The contact was pinned behind a piling, firing blind as bullets sparked around her. If I stayed here, we'd all be cut down. If I ran, I might not make it, but the drive had to survive. Before I could decide, the helicopter roared overhead, its searchlight locking on the pier. The wood groaned under the weight of the SUV tires. We were trapped between water and fire. The driver grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at her. "Listen to me. This moment decides everything. Run for her. Now." I nodded, adrenaline drowning fear. I clutched the drive and bolted from cover, legs pumping, bullets whining past me. The contact saw me coming and lunged forward, hand outstretched. "Throw it," she shouted. I hurled the flash drive with all my strength. It arced through the rain, glinting once under the spotlight then vanished into her palm. She clutched it tight, shoving it into her coat. "Go!" she screamed. "Get out!" The cleaners surged onto the pier. Gunfire thundered. The driver and contact fought side by side, holding the line. My companion dragged me toward the edge, toward the black water churning below. "What are you doing?" I gasped. "Only way out," they said, and shoved me. Cold water swallowed me whole, dragging me under. My lungs seized, panic clawing as the river pulled me into darkness. I kicked desperately, breaking the surface just as another splash erupted beside me, my companion diving in. "Swim," they shouted, shoving me forward. The pier shrank behind us, a battlefield of fire and shadow. The helicopter's lights searched the water, but the current was already dragging us downstream, away from the chaos. We swam until my arms felt like lead, until the city blurred into blackness. Finally, we clung to the rusted ladder of an old dock and hauled ourselves onto solid ground. I collapsed on the wet concrete, gasping for breath. My companion lay beside me, chest heaving, eyes burning with exhaustion. "The drive," I panted. "She has it. Do you think she'll make it out?" They didn't answer right away. Finally, they turned to me, voice hoarse. "She has it. That's all that matters." I stared up at the night sky, the helicopter still circling far away, and realized the truth. Whether the contact escaped or not, whether the cleaners hunted us for the rest of our lives, my old world was gone. There was only this new one now. One built on lies, secrets, and the hope that truth might still burn through the dark. The story is closing in on its climax. The truth is out there, but survival is far from guaranteed. Want to see if the flash drive finally brings the cleaners down, or if it costs everything? Stay tuned. Subscribe to Life's Secret Stories now, because part 6 will shake you to your core. The dock was silent except for the steady lapping of the river. My clothes clung to me like a second skin, heavy and cold. My chest burned with every breath, but my mind wouldn't stop racing. The flash drive was gone. The contact had it. And we had nothing but the hope she'd make it out alive. My companion pushed themselves up on one elbow, scanning the shadows. We can't stay here. They'll sweep the river. We need to move. I forced my trembling legs beneath me. Every muscle screamed, but adrenaline dragged me forward. Where do we go? They hesitated. There's one more place. Not safe, but safe enough to disappear until we know if the drop worked. I didn't ask where. I didn't care. At that moment, I just needed to survive the night. We stumbled through abandoned streets, the city around us strangely quiet, as though holding its breath. Every passing car sent me ducking into shadows. Every alley felt like a trap. By the time we reached the edge of the industrial district, my legs threatened to collapse. A crumbling warehouse loomed ahead. My companion shoved open a rusted side door, and we slipped inside. The air was stale, thick with dust and grease. Faded graffiti stained the walls, and broken pallets littered the floor. This will do, they muttered, guiding me to sit against a wall. For a few long moments, neither of us spoke. The silence was heavy, punctuated only by the sound of water dripping somewhere deep in the building. Finally, I broke it. What if she didn't make it out? What if they killed her and took the drive? My companion's jaw tightened. Then we run until there's nowhere left to run. But if she got out, they trailed off, hope flickering briefly in their eyes. If she got out, then maybe this ends tonight. I hugged my knees, shivering. I don't even know who I am anymore. Everything I thought I knew, my parents, my life, it was all built on lies. They crouched in front of me, their expressions softening. You're not defined by their secrets. You're defined by what you do now. And right now, you're surviving. I wanted to believe that. I wanted to hold on to something real. But before I could respond, a sudden buzz shattered the silence. My companion froze, then pulled a small phone from their pocket. The screen glowed with a single incoming message. Delivered. Safe. Transmission complete. My breath caught. She did it. Relief flooded their face, but only for a second. Then the sound of tires screeched outside. Headlights flared through the warehouse windows. Doors slammed. Voices shouted. They're here, my companion hissed. Panic surged through me. But if the truth is out, why are they still coming? Because truth doesn't stop bullets. The warehouse doors crashed open. Armed figures poured in, their footsteps echoing like thunder. The cleaners had found us. Go, my companion shoved me toward the back of the warehouse. There's a service exit. I ran, lungs burning, heart pounding. But before I reached the door, gunfire erupted. Splinters sprayed from the walls. I ducked behind a stack of crates, ears ringing. My companion fired back, their pistol barking again and again. The shadows flashed with muzzle light. Shouts echoed through the cavernous space. I pressed myself against the wood, trembling. I couldn't stay hidden forever. If I did, we'd both die. Something inside me hardened. I had spent the night running, from the hotel, from the truth, from the people who wanted me gone. But if the drive had truly been delivered, then running wasn't survival anymore. It was surrender. I crawled up from behind the crates, grabbing a length of rusted pipe from the floor. My companion's eyes widened when they saw me, but I shook my head. I'm not hiding anymore. The cleaners advanced in formation, their weapons raised. One spotted me and shouted. Before I could think, I swung the pipe, knocking the weapon from his hands. The impact jarred my bones, but adrenaline carried me through. My companion took the opening, firing 2 shots that dropped another attacker. Chaos erupted. Shouts, gunfire, the clang of metal. For a few terrifying minutes, the warehouse was nothing but survival. Then, as suddenly as it began, it ended. The last cleaner fell, groaning, clutching a wound. The rest had fled, their shadows retreating into the night. Silence settled again, heavy and absolute. I dropped the pipe, my arms shaking. My companion staggered toward me, blood seeping from a graze on their arm. "You're still alive," they said, half in disbelief. "So are you." We leaned against the wall, breathing hard, listening to the distant wail of sirens. Not police sirens. Something else. The world was stirring. The story was out now. By dawn, it was everywhere. Screens across the city lit up with leaked files, names, photographs. News anchors spoke in hushed, urgent tones. The man in the gray suit was on every broadcast, his face plastered across headlines. Governments scrambled, corporations denied, entire systems shook. And me? I sat in the shadow of the warehouse, watching the world unravel around me. The cleaners were gone, scattered, their power crumbling under the weight of exposure. But I knew it wasn't over. The truth was out, yes, but truth doesn't erase danger. Truth doesn't rebuild what lies had destroyed. My companion sat beside me, wincing as they wrapped their wound. "It's done. You're free now." I looked at the rising sun, its light spilling over the city. Free. The word felt foreign. Heavy. "No," I said softly. "Not free. Just beginning again." They glanced at me, a faint smile tugging at their lips. "Then make it count." I nodded, the weight of the night pressing into me one last time. The hotel, the notebook, the window knocks, the river, the drive, it all felt like a story written on my skin, scars I'd carry forever. But I was still here. Still breathing. Still choosing. And maybe that was enough. If this story left you breathless, don't just walk away. Subscribe to Life's Secret Stories right now. We bring you twists that shatter expectations, secrets that keep you awake at night, and endings that make you question everything. Hit that subscribe button, because the next story will pull you even deeper.